Welcome to our live demo. Are you guys going to put the camera on me? Let me know. It's not there. This camera? It's not facing me. You can see me? Okay. All right. Welcome to our next live demo. We have a course here today and an awesome patient. We have a simple case. If you saw Friday's patient with a 3-hour procedure and no pulp chamber whatsoever, this is my reward. Hopefully I don't jinx it, but if we look at the 2D imaging here, we can see it's already been accessed. It had mesial decay. We have calcium hydroxide in the canals. And as we take a more and more distal view, what? I don't need it. I'm clicking. You don't have to have a CT machine to figure out whether there is a likelihood of an MB2. You need to take a shallow distal view. When we use these RIN kits, they have the sensor holder and a little bite plane on upper teeth unless people have really high palates. When they bite on it, it tips the whole thing up, and that's why you're seeing all your buccal roots foreshortened. You can't get any dimensional understanding of them. You won't be able to see these views. So you take a shallow view. We don't care if we cut the palatal root off because we're looking at the buccal roots, and if they're splayed like this, you can't get one image that shows all three of those roots well. You're going to take one like this for the buccal. You're going to take a sky shot for the palatal, if you, like this kind of is. So what we see here is we're looking for centeredness in the root. It actually looks fairly centered in the root, although as we've come from the more and more distal view, we're seeing the palatal side of the mesiobuccal root. Okay, so it does still look fairly centered, but there's at least some isthmus area. Okay, let's go forward. This is really pixelated. Can we shoot it off my screen? Doesn't really show that well. Can we use this camera on this screen? Okay, right. Okay, so we can't see anything there. There is here's the MB root. It's centered up here and it's conical. It gets wider, it's off center here. This is the most likely where we're going to find maybe an MB2 or just a fin there. This is the palatal root. We see it off quite splayed. And here's a buccal view of the palatal root. We can see these canals, the MB and the palatal with calcium hydroxide, short of the end, real ideal placement. Here are the cross-sectional views. CT imaging is a little bit, well, it's really pixelated. What we see here is, I'm looking primarily for the MB root. Unfortunately, this doesn't show enough resolution, but here's the MB root from here to here. We see the MB1 canal. There's a little space here. It's kidney bean shaped. If it's less than round, if it's more oblong, you're going to find at least a fin. Okay, so we don't necessarily have to look for that, but we're going to maybe expect to see that in the post-op. Let's sit you back here. This is Robert, awesome guy. He's as chill as they come. Okay. Just treating him is like me taking his Xanax. Yeah, please.
So I noticed you took the cone beam after you put the calcium hydroxide in.
I didn't open this case. Oh. Yeah, I would have had a cone beam pre-op.
Pre-op.
Yes. Yes, everybody gets a CT scan. The only way you know if they need a CT scan is to take one, look at it, and see if they needed it. But until you take that, you don't know if they needed it. So what's my point is, if you have a CT machine, it doesn't cost you anything to run that thing. If they can't afford it, you still have more data. You want the data for you.
And do you now take a CT scan before every treatment?
Before every consult. Anytime in treatment that I'm having questions or concerns. And then, of course, we take a 40 by 40 limited volume post-operatively. Okay, so we're going to isolate tooth number 3. We don't have our new, are these our black clamps? Oh, nice. These are our new black clamps. Was this designed to be slit down with the bicuspid?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you want to use a wing clamp. You want serrated clamps because then it's just a cinch to use them. If your isolation takes too long, it's too difficult, you're not going to want to do it. But you should be isolating 1 to 3 teeth at a time. Do we have a little rubber rope to put in there? Yeah, hurdle contact there. Let's pull it. Let's just see if we have a contact one forward. Oh, no.
Do you want the rubber?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you want to isolate more than just the tooth you're working on?
It helps when I'm doing gentle wave platform fabrication.
Okay.
Yeah. Did that pull out? Jeez.
Yes.
wash. Okay, no water. That's awesome. Any ideas?
Just the water.
Okay, you got it? Helps to be a plumber. Okay. Somebody move the microscope. That's a bad idea. Let's move the rubber dam clamp a little bit. We're on soft tissue. These are the new DE Labs black rubber dam clamps. They're cool because they reflect less light back as incident light. Okay, so we're going to remove decay, or temporary filling material. I think most of the decay has been removed. I'm going to drop the RPM down to 1/4. Having two mirror sizes is really handy. I actually have them on the same mirror here. We used to have two separate ones. This is a lot easier. Okay, so here comes the cabinet. Wash, please. Okay, this sponge. This place for the previous dentist. And I have images of him with Carrie's disclosing solution on here, so we know for sure that it's been had the decay removed. Okay, I'm just going to get the entry a little bit refined here. This is Heath Montgomery's case. He's an awesome guy. Did a really nice job on the emergency treatment and calcium hydroxide placement. Let's open up that mesial, see if we can find the MB2 here. Actually, what I want to use is I want to use a 2. These things are really great for molars. They stay on the pulp chamber floor. They're super hardy, so you can run them at a real high power setting. And they're truncated, so they will start undercutting that mesial wall, which is what you need to find the MB2. It is, but it's cutting the floor slowly. Okay, so the question I get often is, can you perforate with ultrasonics? And the answer is, yeah, it just takes a long time. So what are the advantages of ultrasonics? One, you can see perfectly. Okay, you can see exactly where this is going to cut. As it's cutting, here's the counter view. Okay, you can get a side view, not that easy. So let's open up that mesial wall. I need to unroof this a bit right here, not much, to refine that line angle, because this is where all my instruments are going to have to traverse. It's really handy to have two ultrasonic handpieces. You don't have to have two power units, but it's a lot quicker to just plug and unplug handpieces than to spin these ultrasonic tips on and off. That takes like similar to an eternity. Okay. And what really happens, I've already talked to you about how sharp-ended dental tools are almost none of them are appropriate for endo. This is flat-ended. The ultrasonic tip is round-ended. That's really what you want. Okay. And when you use a flat or round-ended device and you cross an isthmus, it will light up like a stop sign. I'm going to cut this a little further mesially. I'm not cutting apically, I'm cutting laterally.
Does that instrument have lateral diameter?
It doesn't. It could use them. Next gen. Yeah, actually I thought it was going to be better without them, but it would have helped. Okay, here's the MB1. We just start taking that back. Yeah, I wouldn't do molars without an ultrasonic. So for you that are employees in dental practices, don't tell them I said so, but you might want to go on strike until you get the tools you need. You need magnification and you need light. You need ultrasonics.
There's different ultrasonics out there. Some are a couple $100 for the machine, some are thousands. Is there that much difference?
Yeah, there are.
Why?
First off, the one that we're using, the Acteon, yes, thank you. The Acteon, they don't break. They're super robust, but also they self-tune. So at lower settings, they'll find the resonant mini frequency in that range, and so you get more activity from them. I think it's a single purchase kind of a device. Once you have an Acteon ultrasonic, unless you're going to practice 50 years, you probably will have it as long as you want to use it. Okay, let's put a curved hand instrument in there. First, let's see what it's like with just a typical DG16. This is out of the new DE Labs series. There's the number 1. Remember, we want the tip to be optimally sharp, not too sharp. Back here, we see the isthmus going back. I'm looking for tug back. I'm not getting it anywhere along here, but we know that this is where the isthmus is. Let's see if we get a different finding with the curved or the bent DG16. First off, it's a little easier to get into the MB1 with this guy because it curves as it enters the pulp chamber. I have awesome tug back there. All these mesial canals are coming in at almost a 90-degree angle. Without an angled explorer, you're going to have a hard time finding a lot of them. So if you have DG16, just put a bend on the very end of them. For now, I'm going to see if a rotary file wants to go in there. This is so much easier than putting your whole hand back there and trying to see around it. Beautiful. Thank you for opening, Robert. Yep, it's going in. That's nice. Now, I think I'm instrumenting an adjacent fin, but the first canal I put a file into is the MB2. It's not a bad start of a cave, upper molar cave. Last time I didn't have, one canal located within 45 minutes. Oh. It was supposed to be an XNAV case, and we had a video feed problem, so I was press ganged into doing it as a live demo without freehand, and I got to tell you, it taught me I don't want to do that anymore. Here's the calcium hydroxide that was placed previously. Here's the distal.
This is all being done dry.
This is dry so far. I'm only in the coronal third or half. And we have some irregularity around the distal buckle, so I'm going to want to tune that up a little bit. There we go. And this is a 1506 Vortex Blue. I'm not even attempting to get close to the end of the root canal. Okay, that's a pretty nice line angle. This guy needs a little help, so I'm going to just touch it with the LA diamond burr. Okay, here's that distal buckle. Turn it right just a little bit. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So I'm just going to do intermittent foot pedal switching. I can control the LA diamond a little bit better. So when you have a bent DG16 Explorer, on the near end that we use to go onto mesial canals, you're going to bend it towards the inside of the curvature. Okay. And on the other end, to go into the distal buckle, you have it bent the opposite way to fit underneath a pulp chamber roof as it comes in, if it's coming in at a serious angle. This one actually is coming in at a very nice angle. So a straight Explorer would locate this guy better. Okay. He promised he would sleep on me during the live demo, and I just heard a snore, so that's, we call that the most sincere form of compliment for your endodontist. Okay, this is all good. Let's see if we can get that MB2 opened up a little bit.
And this file again is just
Pardon?
this is your
1506 Vortex Blue. Right. Do we have an estimated length?
Yes, MB is 19 1/4.
Okay, so our estimated length is 19 1/4. I'm a millimeter, 2 millimeters short. I need to make it just a little easier to find that MB2. There we go. Cool. Now I haven't been irrigating with anything. Don't need it until I start getting deeper in the root canal. So we're going to go ahead and do some negotiation now. Or as my daughter said when she was 6, a negotiation. She learned that at an early age. Okay, let's use the Merita handpiece. So we're going to do a torque limit of 2 Newton centimeters. This is the M1, what you had scheduled as a first position, 300 RPM, 2 Newton centimeters. We have a 1506 Vortex Blue set at our estimated 19 millimeters. You can also use a hand probe if you need to. I hope this thing is programmed correctly. Let me show you the steps that you can go through to program this. And I'm also doing this to check on making sure I have it programmed the way I want. Hold on S. So operational mode, I want it clockwise. I don't want OTR or OGP or EMR. That's what I want. So then I'm going to push it again. 300 RPM, I like that, I like that. apical action. It's going to stop when we get to the end of the root canal. I love it. That's my favorite. Auto start should be on. Huh, okay. I don't know how to start. Oh, there we go. Flash bar position, we want it at the 0.5 position. Apical slow down off, torque slow down, all this, I don't want that. Beeper volume, and we're good to go. Now you push both of these, and it turns off. Push one of them, and I believe it turns back on. There we go. Okay. So we have apex locator in function. Let's do the distal buckle first. Okay. Don't need it. Okay, so it starts when it meets the solution when it has a little bit of a charge in it. We're at length. This is a distal buckle. I'm going to reference it. Hold this a sec. Let's get a better view here. We're going to reference this by the palatal cuss tip. Palatal cuss tip is my favorite upper molar reference point. Here's the advantage of heads-up microscopy is I can look at it from any angle I want to, unlike a microscope with oculars. Okay, so it just stopped itself very close to our estimated length. That always gives me a little bit more security. And I'm going to carefully adjust this. It's probably going to be 19.5 millimeters, 19.75. Okay. And then I get a little lever arm there, and we're going to measure it. Length in the distal buccal canal by the palatal cuss tip is 19.5 millimeters. Let's do the easy thing again. Let's do the palatal now. Okay. This is the Vortex Blue, 1506, right. Stopped right there. Hold that a sec.
And as soon as you're feeling resistance, are you pulling back then?
No.
You just let it go?
No, I'm not pushing on this though. Hold this. Okay. Got it. Okay. Hold that. Palatal canal by the palatal cuss tip is 20 and call it 21.
21.
Yep. Let's do the MB1. Okay, so those are 2/3 done. Isn't that awesome how it just starts itself? These guys are nuts. They're such good designers. This is the MB1. We're at 18.5 millimeters. MBCT. The only one I don't reference to the palatal cuss tip is the mesobuccal 1. Mesobuccal 2 I reference to the palatal cuss tip because it's a triangular shaped root. It's going to naturally have the handle over that area. And I put that little notch in there so I could find this thing. Here we go. This is the first that I've used it as rotary negotiation. This is the only canal that wasn't negotiated before, and I've just gotten to length with essentially a single cut. See that? Yeah. Come on, let's get this in focus. And I prefer to touch my reference point rather than sight it because it's so easy to have a parallax error. Okay, here we go. MB2 length from the palatal cuss tip. 19.5 millimeters. Okay. Let's wash, irrigate. I'm going to leave that on for the shaping files. I think it'd be fun to use them. Okay, we're going to use EDTA solution. Let me just see if there's another spot for another MB canal. That's one. Well, I'm getting tug back. Let's see if a rotary 1506 wants to go in there. It's fine. So the best way to exchange your files, throw a file out when it's been used too much, is give your assistant that responsibility. She doesn't say $9, $9, $9. She says, oh, it's twisted. It needs to be replaced, and get you a new file. It's going in. Interesting. I think I met an impediment, but let's find out. Quit moving. Definitely. Let's take a little 08 file. Okay, never more than 90 degrees in a clockwise direction. These little files don't ever break due to cyclic fatigue, but they will break really easily on torsional stresses. I bet you $1,000 that every single one of your 6s, 8s, 10s you've broken is because you rotated it more than 90 degrees in a clockwise direction. It's really tough not to do that. I have no tug back there, so this is an impediment. Let's see if bending a file is going to get us there. The impediment is in the coronal 3 millimeters. A little bit too much. So you put the bent part to the mesial to get in the orifice. And I'm using a 15 here. You can use a smaller instrument once you get this canal started at the orifice level. I'm sighting this little mark against the spring bow because I want to know if this thing is advancing when I activate it. I just activated it and it moved a 1/4 millimeter apically. I'm getting a finger rest. I really don't want to pull it out of the canal. I might have negotiated again. I just moved another 1/2 millimeter. I have tug back. Means it's not an impediment I'm meeting, and now a millimeter beyond where I was when I started this. Let's put an 0.8 in here and see what happens. I already tried that, but I didn't put a bend on it. Just a very, very tip. Remember, if you imagine you're the file meeting the impediment in the canal, only the very tip of the instrument needs to be bent. The rest of the file is going to follow it. These things are like the size of human hairs. There we go, I'm in. Now I'm going to flip it around the opposite direction, distally. Most likely that's where the curvature takes us. Let's see if watch winding this thing is going to get us any deeper. I feel a slight tug back, that's good. Let's put a 6 in there and see what happens. Now, this is what I get for saying it probably was going to be an easy case. It is a straightforward case. We're just wanting to treat every little detail part of this anatomy. Okay, so we're in there. We should be around the impediment. Oh, yes. Unless it's in the adjacent canal. It is not. There's an MB3. Okay, I'm proud.
Does that like really excite you finding MB3 and MB4?
MB4 just is, that's too much work. Yeah. Yeah. After the MB3, it's, you know.
Put blinders on.
Okay, so notice I have a finger rest over here. If I just pull this thing out, I've got to rebend the tip, get back there, and try and get back in a tricky thing. I might not ever get past that impediment just as I click past right there. It's a little bit random. So I get a finger rest. I'm going to do little push-pull motions. Let's get a little bit of lubricant in there. So the deal that we started discussing earlier today, the way we're going to avoid blockage is always have a small enough file first there, either a square K file, an 08 in small canals, a 10 in larger canals, or you can get away with a triangular 15. Okay, still sighting on that spring bow because my stop is too far away from the tooth to get a decent reference from that. And if I watch wind this and it doesn't make any progress, it's time to take the thing out of there. But if you can cut and make a little bit of shape where this thing is tightly hanging up, that means your file is touching on its lateral sides, two opposite lateral sides. Let's make sure this thing isn't buckling. These are little skinny files. Let's put an apex locator on it. Okay. I can't imagine anybody would do a root canal without an apex locator. Of all the things that we use, it's the most, yeah, we're going to not use the, okay, the handpiece has the meter on it. Let's see if we're even close. Oh, we're not too far away. It's saying 2.5, 3 millimeters, which doesn't mean anything in exact distance, but we're almost there. Let's put it that way. And as long as this little guy wants to advance when I activate it, I'll take the added depth. Okay, let's see if we're not patent. No, we are not.
So if it says you're 2.5 or 3 away, it doesn't necessarily mean that's how far away.
Right. Yeah, we can't really measure, at least yet, a given distance. We can only say when we get to this conductive threshold. The cool thing about apex locators is they find the same place that we have the immunologic threshold, which we go from inside to outside. We have a hemisphere of immunologic reaction to whatever's left there. Inside, there's nothing that can get to it to remove it. And this handpiece just wakes up and gives you an apex locator reading if you hook it up and put it in a tooth. I just buckled that. Okay, so let's try another small instrument. Let's try an 08. I may have needed to bend to get in there the first time, but maybe not anymore. Let's see if there's still an impediment. Nice. Okay, so that's cervical impediment's been gone by the push-pull filing that we're using. It may not have an impediment apically, so the bend may not be necessary. We're making good progress here. Okay, apex locator says I'm not quite there. Okay. And this mark is at 20 now. Remember the MB2 was at 19?
Yes.
Yeah, we were 18 in the MB1, 19 in the MB2. Getting a little smoother. Check with the apex locator. Says I'm long. That is awesome news. Now it says I am right there. Adjusting the stop for the reference point. I can look on the side and tell you it's about 20 millimeters. Those first three marks are 18, 19, 20. Indeed, 20 millimeters.
MB2,
That's MB3.
MB2. Reference point.
Palatable. Let's just see if we can get in the MB2 while we're at it. They're almost certainly confluent because we saw the conical shape of the root at its root tip.
Why did you go from 6 to 8?
6 to 8 because I was 2 or near length with the 6. Here's the MB2. Yeah, I think I think it merges with with the MB1. Okay, let's get a length here just for yucks.
And which canal is that, Doctor?
This is the MB2. By the palatal cuss tip. I need a bigger file. Take a 10. I really like this double-ended mirror handle. And if you get a squirrely reading with the apex locator, don't worry, just adjust it as close as you can, estimate between this, and then when you go to the larger file size, it's going to get more stable. Okay, it gives you a weird reading when the canal is much larger than the file at the terminus. Okay, that's my length. So MB2 almost certainly confluent with the MB1, but just for yucks, that's at 20 also. Okay, so how am I going to figure this out? I'm going to shape them both. I'll probably feel no apical cutting in the MB2. I'll fit a cone in the MB1 and leave it there when I put a cone in the MB2 and see if they go to length. Okay. So, what do we have? We have section. We're ready to gauge. Let's do the palatal first. I'll take EDTA solution. I use EDTA solution during instrumentation because one of the biggest problems I have during instrumentation is when I cut dent and I make a smeared layer. So why not digest the smeared layer as we're creating it, right? Because once I pack smeared layer and other cut debris in the flutes of the file will no longer cut. Okay, so are you set in the palatal yet?
No.
Okay. She's going to set in the palatal
Set at 21.
at 21 millimeters. We'll start with a 10 or a 15. Okay. 15K file, that's palatal cuss tip. I'm gauging, I'm only pushing straight in. You can't, if you have a perfectly shaped canal and you put a file there that is binding absolutely correct, and that's the terminal shape that you should have. I'm going to pull back so I don't goof this, but if you are there and you just go once like that, you've cut it bigger. So you can only use these, they have blades on them. Push them straight in. You can push them as hard as you want. Push them straight in, we can make this head move, but no wiggling, no rotation. Now that, here comes a 20. It goes through 30. 30 binds, just a taste short. Okay, she's going to hand me the 3008. Let's cut some shape with that guy. Is that already unique? How'd you know that? Okay. So I haven't used shaping with apex locator. Let's give this a go. I need to go to the next programmed.
These are the ones that are pre-programmed in it already.
Well, we have for you. Okay, so 4 Newton centimeters. You can program it any way you want. There's 8 different pre-programmed sections. This is a 3008. Or is this a 3006?
3008.
Okay.
And you're choosing the 30 because that's the file that we're binding.
Yes. Doesn't want to go. Let's see what happens. Actually, it may just be because it's full of debris. Let's try it again in there. Oh, actually, that was the reason.
What were you going to do if it wasn't going to go? You were going to drop down to the other side?
I was going to put the 30 in there and show you the balance force heading. In fact, let's do that right now. Okay, so this is set at length?
Yes, right.
Okay. Oh, actually, the gauging file already went there. I probably need to put the 40 in to create a little bit more space. In an 08 taper, this should step back 1 millimeter. This is about 3 millimeters. So balance forcing this little guy within a millimeter. It's now 1.5 millimeters. Let's see if that doesn't help. Look at that chunk of dent I just cut off of there. I gotta tell you, it cuts so much dent and so rapidly. Now we bring the 3008. Yes, 3008 shaping file, the GTX file. Do we have solution filling that? It's a little dry. Yeah, let's. Yes.
That file, the 40 file you just used for the download, the right height,
Yes.
but this
And I was a millimeter short on that because I've gauged it at a 30. It looks like I don't need a 40/08, and if I put a 40 to length, I'll have to cut a 40/08 shape. So I think this might be the last cut. I'm trying to get a better view of the
when you're getting
reference point.
impediments like what you did with MB3, those are stainless steel files, right? Because you have to put
Right.
amendment.
Until I get 15, and then I'm going to bend the 1504, 1506 Vortex Blue. Okay, probably final cut. All right, irrigate, engage. Okay, here's a 20, it should be patent. Here's a 30, it was binding at length before. Maybe it'll go through, we don't know yet. No, it's still binding right at length, maybe half long. Let's see where the 40 is. If it goes to length, I've got to cut a 40/08 there, but it steps back a millimeter. So I've got a really nice, I've probably got a 32, doesn't matter, right? So Powell canal is taken care of. Last instrument is in a canal is the patency file. I'm going to drop through there 1 millimeter, make sure there's no flocculent debris there. Okay, let's go into, let's gauge the distal buckle. It's going really great. Don't wake up, but. Turn a little bit to the left, perfect. Here's the distal buckle. 15 drops through. 20. Drops through. 30. 30 is quite a bit short. So let's balance force the little guy to length. I'll take a 30/06. There we have the debris I just cut.
And you picked an 06 instead of an 08.
Yes, this is a small root. Just
Okay.
unless you're doing MIE, a GTX 08 is conservative only. So I typically choose an 08 for medium and large roots and an 06 for small roots unless they are super kinked. Then I'll stick with an 04. Yeah, good thing I used the 30 because this isn't cutting that easily.
Instead of a 40, you mean, or it's a good thing you used a 30?
I used the 40 to open up some space in there. Are we dry again? No, we're okay. Actually, the 20 went through and the 30 fit short. And then I cut the 30 to length. This is not when I put the 40 in, I don't believe. Okay. The debris is not at the tip primarily. And these have landed blades, so you do put some apical pressure on it. This is advancing very slowly, but we're good there. Okay, so in the final position, we see debris in almost the very last flutes. You wouldn't expect it because we have taken a K file there, and the tip of the file was passive pilot guide. Here's the distal buckle. Here's the 20, and we know it drops through. Here's the 30. Nice. At length, maybe slightly through. Here's the 40. I said there was about a 32, right? And the 40 is fitting almost the width of the stop, which is an 06 taper. Last act with the file, getting patent with the 20. That canal is done until it's cleaned and ready to fill. Done in instrumentation. Okay, let's gauge the MB1. This rubber dam, by the way, is awesome. This is a Optidam. It's got these little blebs on them that you just cut the one that's so appropriate for the tooth, and you don't need a rubber dam punch. I hate my rubber dam punch. All of them have a nick in them. Not one of them cut a hole without a hanging chad. So you just clip this. Not only do you not need the punch, but then you have like a little turtleneck sweater around it. You get a better seal around the tooth.
How do you
Those little nubs are for every tooth position, upper and lower. You just pick the one that's related to the first molar, clip it, and then that's a hole. You clip. It's a projected. It's
okay, gotcha.
sheet material that's projected. It's not solid. It's hollow in there. You clip it, and that's your hole. But you have this little stand-up turtleneck on top of it. It's great. Okay, and then this hinged rubber dam frame, not from the same company, but it's fantastic. We haven't had to take many working films, but what am I doing here? Okay. Okay. That's going through. That's going through. And that is quite a bit short. So let's take a 3006. Let's take that. Let's use this handpiece. Let's take that a millimeter long. So if I take tapered files long, they're just going to cut a shape that's bigger at the terminus. But if I take it long and it confirms that the shape goes all the way to the terminus, that's really the only thing I really need to know is that that happened. So instead of cranking this up to a 40, because the 30 went through, I'm just going to cut it to a 36. So a 30, a millimeter long is 36, right? Yep, right. The taper, you just add the amount of taper to the tip diameter every millimeter back. Right? Cool. Full of debris. Cleaning that off. When you hit the torque limit, you don't have to stop. You just like quit putting that much pressure on it. And we're to length. Okay. Let's gauge.
Can you confirm that you cleaned all the terminus by debris in the end of the tape?
Not cleaning, shaping. I have a better idea that I shape to full length, that when the file gets to that depth first, I'd like to see some debris in the last flute. Now, if I use balance force with a K file, that's where I see the debris on that file, not in the shaping file to follow. Okay. Gauging file. I still expect the 30 to go through. The 40 should fit a little closer. Yep, it's about a millimeter long. Bine's right there. Here's the 40. It should be like, I don't know, maybe it's the MB2. Yeah, see, we're a millimeter back. That's not bad at all. Patency file, largest file that passively drops through. Let's find out if I need to do any work in the MB1, MB2, and MB3. Let's see if we can put a file to length in one of those or both of those. emerging right at the end of the root canal, literally. Let's put it in the MB3. Not that easy to get it in there. That's why I like rotary negotiation, one of the reasons. There we go. Yeah, that's binding before length 2. So they're all confluent. So I'm not doing anything in the MB1, 2. I'm done. Let's go ahead and build a stage.
But if you didn't shape the MB2 and 3, how are your cones going to go down?
Oh, I'm not going to fill it from, I'm not going to cone fit. Most likely I'll just down pack the MB1 and everything else will get filled. I'll just see they're coming up in the MB2 and 3. We see when I suction there, the solution comes out of the adjacent canals. Okay. We're going to get ready to do platforming for Genowave suction. Now it turns out that when you, early on I had lots of problems getting the platform to stick effectively, and it turns out when you use the air water syringe it looks really clean, but there's a little microfilm there, and so coming along and scrubbing it a little bit is super helpful. We were using glass ionomer, we were using bonded composites. Turned out none of those worked as well as Cool Dam, or it's called Sound Seal from these guys. Can I have some? Let's use that. Is the laser set up? Pardon? Yeah. Okay. Let me show you one of my favorite little toys. This is a diode laser from Denmat. Where's the picture? There we go. Okay, and it's driven by the foot pedal. It's got a Bluetooth foot pedal. Oh, great question. Question about concern about dent and erosion. Okay, when you look at all the research that shows too much etching and little fibers exposed, that's usually the Q-mix literature. They're showing you a microphotograph. It's inconsequential on the scale of a tooth. So that's just a marketing thing to make you feel paranoid. I'm serious. It's like nobody buys deodorant if they don't worry about BO. Marketing people were so kind for us to do that. Okay, let's see if this thing is, there we go. Now diode laser is basically just heating it. Heat cautery is really effective. I think we need to, it is initialized? Oh, I don't have it turned up. I use it at full 2 watts of power. And it really just kind of shrinks the tissue. You can touch it and you will remove it more like an electrosurge. I don't really like that. I like to desiccate the tissues with this. There we go. There we go. And you can see when you touch it, it affects the surface more than I like. Okay, we'll take that off later. Ready? I've got my Denmat curing light. I've got a 5-second plasma arc curing light. How many minutes a day do you think restorative dentists typically spend waiting for curing? Well, would it be 15 minutes a day? More than that a day? Okay, why don't you guys have one of these? You take a 20-second cure and you get it in 5 seconds. You still have to layer because you're going to have shrinkage, but Oh my God, that's like waiting forever. I can't really enjoy that myself. I have a need for speed. So let's go ahead and start building a platform. She's going to put, you know what, let's put some gutta percha cones in those areas.
Care for the sponge?
Pardon?
Would you like me to put a sponge in it?
No, I'm putting this in the canals because I've got a syringe right next to him. These are backfill cones. I don't need them to fit the link. They just need them to keep me from obscuring the canals and having to dig them out as I create this.
What are you putting on there?
I'm going to put Cool Dam.
Are you putting something on the cones?
No, on the mesial surface of the tooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like there's something on the cone. You're sticking it in.
Huh. Okay. Dust. Got to perch of dust.
Would you not have to do this step if that wall wasn't broken out?
If the wall wasn't broken out, then I'd just be layering it around the tooth and on the occlusal surface. Yeah. But we made it really complicated. A bunch of us in the user group, we were, like I said, we were doing these really fine glass ionomer and composite restorations there, and they all blew out. What I found out from that is, you probably knew this, but these materials take tens of minutes before they're totally set up. And so when we put the vacuum on it from the gentle wave device, it just sucked air under it and it was gone immediately.
So at this point, if you weren't using the gentle wave,
I would be setting up to do negative pressure irrigation. We'd be ready for a soak. I would fit cones, I'd take radiographs, and we'd soak it. So it's really advantageous. Going to start using hypochlorite now. Fitting the cones, I'm exchanging solutions, used up solution for fresh solution. So that there's actually a research study showing you can fresh the solution, get an effect apically in small canals just by putting a cone to place and taking it back, because you displace it all and you get fresh solution in there. So some of the simplest mechanical solutions are going to work for us. The more support I can get laterally, you can see I went forward to be on the adjacent tooth, the mesial adjacent tooth. Here I want to use the rubber dam clamp to support this. So basically, I have to create a custom gasket around this tooth so that I can create a negative pressure environment inside of it. One of the most clever parts of this design is that it creates a Venturi effect by blowing the solutions back towards the procedure instrument, and that's what creates the negative pressure. That's what makes hypochlorite use in a tooth totally safe, because there's no positive pressure. This is the platform former that's going to go in the access cavity, like that. So I'm going to load half of it. Go ahead and put that in this access, please.
Yeah, you only put 2 of those cones in.
That's just because I'm not close to the distal buccal palatal. It was just because they're on that mesial wall. Okay, that's good. So you're just going to go down there. Great. Okay. Oh, I can't put the light on it or it'll set up.
The sponge stays in there?
No. It's just to keep this junk from getting in there. Okay, let's take that out. The alternative is just put the drill in there and grind it out. You can get that out, that'd be great. You turn water spray on. I gotta get a shorter lens on this thing. Okay. Okay, so LA Burr really helps here also. You don't want any little flash on the back if we can help it.
Now you're just making sure you see the tops of the panels again, right?
Pardon?
You're just trying to make sure you see the tops of the
Well, and I need to see a nice transition here between the tooth and the material. No overhangs. Like this isn't removed down low enough. Air. Okay. Almost there. I don't want to overcut it because I have almost no tooth structure down there. Cool. We got what we need. I'm going to tune this back just a little bit. Okay. That is pretty good. I think I could use a little bit more on that corner there. but actually I don't think I need that. Okay. We're going to measure the depth of the pulp chamber floor from this platform. This is lightly touching. Here's a number 9 millimeters. It is free and clear. Good. I want one more smaller than that, so I'm going to use a number 8. Okay, number 8, this is the ceiling cap. So the ceiling cap changes height to match the pulp chamber height. Because with the molar attachment, we're going to put the active element inside the pulp chamber. The active element is the part that resonates. That's this part right here. So this is one of the coolest inventions I've ever seen, and I have 22 patents. There is a little tube. This is titanium. There's a little passageway inside there. The solution is shot through this handpiece and out this tube at 6,000 psi. It hits this little impingement plate on the inside of the end, and it's rounded. What does that do? That reflects all this fluid back towards the handpiece where there's an evacuation ring, and this is what creates the Venturi effect.
Okay.
Also, when it's hitting this and being this incidence plate and being diverted, this is like a little tuning fork. So it rings that thing like a bell, and that's what creates the sonic energy that's going down the length of the root canal. Hold this a sec. Okay, so here's the and you need to put this on with 2 thumbs. Make sure it clicks on there effectively. You want to confirm that that little gasket is sealed all the way around. Okay, we're about ready to do the cleaning portion of the root canal. It's going to take 8 minutes. I'll get bored, but it's just the same as all the rest of this procedure to you. You should have no discomfort whatsoever. Nervous laugh? Right? Yeah. He's saying, like, why did you use the word should? Okay, the first part of this is going to do a 1 or 2 minute test to see if there is a seal. We want to see that there's no air bubbles in there. That initial looked like it was sparkling water in there. That's not good because that means we're getting air in under the maybe the mesial wall that's missing. If we were too aggressive at the end of the root canal in an upper molar under a sinus space, you could have a problem not with hypochlorite going into the sinus, but with air coming from the sinus into the root canal system, eliminating the negative pressure environment, and that's not what we want. That's not going to be as effective. So that little sealing cap is all filled with fluids. We completed the seal test. It's now using hypochlorite. This is a 5-minute cycle. We're getting a little bit of water. Are you doing okay in there?
Yeah.
Cool. We'll get a little bit of air in there. Let's see how it's going. There we go. So when you see this in a true tooth, it's pretty trippy. So the way the sound energy works is it's echoing down the walls of the dentin. If we didn't have hard tissue dentin walls, it wouldn't work. And the way that it self-limits is when it gets to the end of the root canal, you have soft tissue there and the sound energy just dissipates. It's like being in a galleria where there's sibilant noise because the tile and the marble and the glass and the plaster, you step off into a clothing store and it gets suddenly quiet. That's because it's absorbing the sound instead of reflecting it. That's what happens at the end of the root canal. So that's what I'm saying is, like, with this one device, they create a negative pressure and they resonate this thing in a way that there's no other energy source, I think, that would have the same effect. We're at 1 minute and 19 seconds. We have no air bubbles. Things are going pretty well. And what you see is, I've never seen it before, you see the smallest lateral canals, the furthest away, getting vibrated and cleaned first, and then it'll go. And then the last thing is the primary canal. You could, if you left a pulp in there, you'd have a little space alongside the pulp, between the pulp and the dentin wall, and nothing next to it. The dentin wall is perfectly clean. It's just a pulp sitting in there, because these waves propagate only on the surface of the wall, the canal wall. So as you can imagine, deaf people used to wear an ear trumpet to concentrate the sound through a decreasing radius. That's what we have in a root canal. We have a tapered shape that gets tapered, and so it's going to concentrate the sound at the end. That's why we see lateral canals filled when we've never put a file into them in the April 3rd. 2 minutes and 21 seconds. We're halfway through the hypochlorite segment of this entertainment module. Yeah, I can't stand the wait. It's like 8 minutes it's like 8 seconds in bull riding. Less exciting, but it's a long time. Let's just put it that way. It just lifts off. I'm going to put the edge of a locking plier into there, and it'll just peel off.
Is that like rubbery, or is that
Yes,
like
it's like rubbery. Yep. This is Cool Dam, OEM'd as Sound Seal. It's actually an awesome rubber dam seal. It's the best rubber dam seal I've seen because it doesn't get goopy. Once it's set, it's nice. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Frankly, she does most of this. So I do the leak check. Yeah, what do you need to get? We're out of water?
No, for after irrigation,
Right?
after you're done with this.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm good. Okay, almost 4 minutes. This is where I'm going to be using negative pressure irrigation. I'm going to be probably using an Irisafe. It's like a K file, a 25K file without any edges on it. That's an Action device. I'm going to activate the solutions with that. Yeah. We'll talk about that back in the lab. Four and a half minutes, almost done with the hypochlorite cycle. I told them they need to have a little movie loop or something like Breaking Bad on a little monitor here so we cannot be bored for 8 minutes. Yeah, that's boring. I'm already bored. I'm going to make her life worse. I'm going to bore her now. Yeah. You know, when you're trying to find a canal or pick through one, you have an impediment you're having a tough time with, it helps me to get the assistant out of the operatory because the aura of boredom is really it just kind of puts me off my game. It's like, I hear this. It's like, you're out of here. And then you find it. Okay, we're done with the hypochlorite. We're doing a 30-second rinse. What did you say? Right. Get the circulation back in there. Okay, so 30-second rinse with distilled water. Now we're going to do a 2-minute EDTA rinse. One of the cool things is, because the way this works, they use half the concentration of hypochlorite, only 3%, and they use only 8% EDTA versus 17%, which we're using. Oh, you're getting a hypertonic solution. Got it. Thanks. Okay, 41 seconds. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is they degas the fluids. So that oxygen liberation effect down at the end of the root canal, it's greatly dampened by degassing before they actually shoot the solutions. 1 minute. We got a minute left. What's going on with this thing? Minute and a half, 30 seconds to go. And that's 2 minutes, 15-second distilled water, rinse. And we're going to see bleeding coming out of the canals. When you first see that, you just go, oh, that's not good at all. You think it's hypochlorite's gone past the end of the root canal. All it is there's a negative pressure environment there. If you put a straw on there with a seal and went for 8 minutes, all the capillaries open up. They're bleeding. It's not unexpected at all if you understand mechanism of action. We simply use, let me just take this off first. So that's pretty amazing that it seals that well, and it can be taken off with relative ease. This is one of the reasons why it's nice to isolate. If you have a distal abutment, do a slit dam, because you got a rubber dam clamp to get out of the way. Okay. Let's wash. You see pulp chamber floor is super clean. One strategy for using this is, if you're looking for an MB2, you know it's there and you can't find it, go ahead and platform, stage a platform and do just that first leak test with the distilled water. It'll open up everything, and you'll find canal orifices that didn't show up before. Okay, well, the bleeding actually is kind of stopped by itself. That's nice. This is hypertonic saline, 4%, which also promotes hemostasis. Nice. Okay, let's just cauterize this for. About a millimeter away from the surface of the tissue is ideal. Wash. Let's fit cones. So what do we have in there? We have a 20. We have
20 NB2 and NB3, and 21 on the
we have a 2006 in which canal? The NB1?
No, 3006.
Oh, okay. Did you feel that? Okay, let's give you some more anesthetic.
150.
Yep. Turn to the right. Okay, so anesthesia for a maxillary molar is half carpal as palatal infiltration and 1.5 carps as buccal infiltration. That'll carry you through a lot of single visit procedures. This one we had him numb probably half an hour before we got to start. So I would say when I have a tough case, I am going to have to reinforce right before obturation.
And what are you using?
This is 1 to 50,000 lidocaine. I use articaine for buccal infiltrations. Close down for me. Thank you. Okay. Okay, open for me. Thank you. Okay, so we're in the NB1. Reference point is the palatal high point.
NB1 was above.
So a length of a canal without a reference point it doesn't mean anything actually, unless you can remember, and it's always the same. Okay, so the length in the mesobuccal canal is?
18.5 NB1.
Okay, so I put this on 0 and put my thumb on it. You said what? 18?
18.5.
18.5. So here's length in the MB. Here is a half short in the MB.
Why do you do a half short?
Because if I fit it to length, I'm a half long afterwards. Just empirical. Here's the thing, we're going to always fit cones in a wet canal because a dry canal is going to stop it way shorter than where it'll be with a sealer. But the sealer's still more lubricious, and we're putting a downward pressure on it, so it just corks in there. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. MB, what's going on in the distal buccal? We have a 30 there also, 30.
3006, that's 19.5.
Okay.
Palatal cusp.
Okay. Nice crisp tug back. By the way, Maria already pre-cut these cones, so they're pre-sized at 20, 30, 40. You said that was 19 and a half?
Yes, dB.
Okay. Oh, I should have pinched the cone. I didn't do that. Without the cone pinch, I don't know where that's supposed to be. So I go ahead and give it a nice pinch there, put it on the millimeter gauge,
19
and
and a half.
we're at 19 and a half. So we're a half long. I want to be a half short at 19. Okay, that's the distal buckle.
Power is 21.
Okay, and we have a 30.08
8.
there. Okay.
And we sit at 21.
Okay, pinch the cone. Place the cone at 0. Thumb on the guy, and I'm sorry, you've told me 3 times. 21. So I'm actually a half millimeter short already at 20 and a half. Let's see if that's what it looks like inside there. The simplest order I've found for upper molars is distal buckle is placed first. Palatal second. MB last. MB's on the front side of the axis cavity. It's easier to see after all the other cones are in place. And here's the MB1. These are confluent, so I don't feel the need to fit a cone in the adjacent canals, or at least for cone fit radiograph. Okay. We only use the Nomad. Okay. Not bad. MBDB looks perfect, right? Can't see the palatal. Let's take a sky shot now. I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket.
Do you always check your cone fit?
Always. I take more working films on cone fit than anything else. It's my last chance to have it just dead on, right? And none of us became dentists because we like it just, that's close enough. That doesn't really work. I love my double-ended mirror handle. That's so cool. Okay, MB1. DB. And palatal. I'm going to put an untrimmed 06 cone in the MB2. Can we vacuum the pulp chamber floor? Sealer after this. Sealer goes in the distal buccal canal. Bowel. Let me have a bigger cone. Okay, sealer. You can see the needle is smaller than the canal. That's the key factor here. I think this needle uses a little bit less gutta percha to fill the lumen also than that plastic.
That pumping that you did, is that what tends to fill the lateral canals?
I want to make sure I get sealer down there. Usually it's not an issue with this sealer, but occasionally I don't have as much as I'd like. Also, I prefer a little puff that proves that I got to the end of the root canal. Here's my MB2. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to put a cone in that thing. The MB3 I'm just going to expect to get filled from the reverse end up. Okay, sealer.
You're not worried about necessarily getting it all the way dry?
All the way what?
Dry?
This material sets in the presence of moisture. Not too much. If it's wet, it won't. If it's dry and just the moisture of the dentinal tubules, you're going to be golden. God, really? It's just this little. Okay. This looks like heck. Okay. This thing is so feather tipped, I'm taking some of that off. So this is so I have enough gutta percha in the MB canal system to push the sealer where I want it to go. There we go. Nice. Okay. Okay, first time using new continuous wet pluggers. I'm psyched. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're exactly like the ones I've used for the last 25 years. Trust me, it's not doing anything new here. All right, I can understand the nervous laugh. Shut up. Okay, searing off the MB2 cone. Okay, the end of this is 0.7 millimeters. This is the 0. And I'm not just cutting it, I'm adding heat. She's going to hand me the 90. I'll take the 70. As we start to cut these smaller shapes, even a millimeter is smaller than many of these orifice diameters. Okay, palpable. And I'm not condensing the MB yet, I'm just getting those out of the way. Okay, sorry for the vertigo. No, really, it's got to be disquieting. Okay, just adding heat, not condensing or down packing. We're going to do a sustained condensation force. Distal buckle. Let me try the other 70. It's a stainless steel one. Right. Okay, we're going to down pack the MB. I'm going to use a 08 plugger. I put a 3006 shape in here, so an 06 probably fits closer than I need it. With the abbreviated continuous wave technique, we don't pre-bend the pluggers. We're just doing a down pack to mid-root, and we're going to put a backfill cone in the space we vacate. Here we go.
Why are you doing that?
That's a half down pack. I'm going to take the sealer. I'm going to take a backfill cone that's an 08. It's exactly the same size as the plugger. Plugger leaves an impression in the gutta percha. Well, I'm concerned because this MB has at least 2 or 3 branches. I've got to push more around. Okay, so in the single canal and a single root, I'm not concerned. Can I have the 40? Black, yeah, there you go.
Coming back with the 90s?
Yeah, can I have the 70, the steel 70? God, I really like these handles. Cutting with the side of the plugger is really effective. Need the 40 again. We do a sustained condensation force on the MB2 here. This is the Nitai end. Can I have the oh no, this is the 90 end. Here's the stainless end. Oh, yeah, I'll take the 70. It's going to be too big though, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. We're going to take a radiograph and see what we have so far. I'll take that 70.
70.
I don't want to backfill into the pulp chamber. I want to have glass ionomer there. Okay. Okay, that was the swallow. Let's hold super still this time. Peel that back so I can see better. You got nothing to apologize for. You're an awesome patient. Okay, a little low. MB looks good. Palatal, DB look good. I need a shallow view to see if I have any kind of a backfilling void. There we go. No fireworks. It doesn't matter. Canal's clean and filled. We got it. We got everything done that needed to be done. Let's go ahead and take this out with some air abrasion. Okay, there's a great question here from Michael Lupo. Since we're doing a partial down pack, staying away from the apex, do we still need to cut off 0.5 millimeter for the tip of the fitted cone? The answer is yes. It's just being in the canal with sealer around it and having even just a short down pack or a sustained condensation force at the orifice level, that's going to still scoot that thing 0.5 millimeter in there. Great. Can I have an alcohol cotton pellet? Yes, please.
Close your eyes.
This is just awesome. And if you're doing endo through a ceramic crown, it's really nice to have the etching. I learned this from John Coyce. No, it doesn't, because the gutta perch is soft and rubbery. It's like ultrasonics. It only works if there's a hard material for it to vibrate against or to chip at. But look how awesome that looks. That's fantastic. Now, we don't have a distal view here. We're going to see that with the 40 by 40 CBCT view, but we have cedar coming out of that MB2 and a little bit of gutta percha too. So I think we're ready to put a little glass ionomer in.
Can I watch a little bit more?
Yes, please. So my referring dentists, most of my referring dentists are exceptional dentists. We live in a town that if you're not going to be around for very long. And so most of them want me to go ahead and seal the pulp chamber floor and the orifices with air abrasion and glass ionomer. And then I'd go ahead and temporize it and they do the buildup. I would say about 25% of the cases we do the buildup.
If the doctor wanted a post base,
Sure.
what
I just don't backfill. I'm going to down pack to mid-root, separate, pull out the gutta percha alongside the electric heat plug or condense down there. All you have to do is put a let's see. Yeah. This is the Voco glass ionomer that's flowable. I got super frustrated with the handling characteristics of Fuji. I found it to be really difficult to put in place without stringing up and creating a void. This way, no matter what happens coronally, I know that I'm going to have the root canal system sealed up. Put a little sponge in there and some Cavit. We're going to shorten his tooth for him. Dude, we're done. I told you. I know. It's like 4. Yes. Last one we finished at 6. That was not good.
Too bad.
Let's see. Yeah, a little bit. Use this. Okay. 5 seconds. It's pretty good.
Is that template?
That's template, yes. The white stuff which you were using wasn't setting up very well with the light. Let's see. I think this clear stuff does better. Oh yeah, much better. That's so. Let's reduce the occlusion. I know. So Robert, you know you have to have a crown on this tooth. I would give it a couple of weeks so it's no longer sensitive to biting pressure.
Okay.
It's normal for this to be sensitive to biting pressure, probably a little bit like after your first appointment with the doc, but it's less inflamed now, so not as much as that. What's in my way? There we go. Okay. Yeah. Not that easy getting the video angle on these. Obviously, the alloy's going to be taken out for the buildup. It's all going to be one piece. Okay, close down. you close down and tap, tap, tap on the tooth, make sure we don't have a high spot? None. Okay. Yep, that's the mesially adjacent tooth. Nothing on that one. Okay, let's get some post-op images.
We're going to a bar.
Yeah, yeah. That's there's a cocktail waiting for everybody. Too high?
No, go higher.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. That last one, look. Oh, okay, not bad. You can see a little bit of the MB2 there. I'm going to take a real mesial view here. It's hard to see. Let's get a 40 by 40. Okay, young man. We're going to get a little bit more imaging, and you are out of here.
Cool.
Can we have a round of applause for our awesome patient? They love you. Your public loves you.
Yeah, yeah.
Say bye to the video.
Huh?
Say bye to the video.
Yes. That concludes our latest demonstration. A little bit easier than the last one on Friday. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, possibly. All right, you guys. Good to see you. Hey, buddy. How many so far? 1,300 for Fridays. Partially because it went so long. Totally calcified tooth, just like never. Okay, so let's hang out in the reception area here until we get the scan done, and then I'll have you come over. I want you to watch what we do with the volume. Look at it. Actually, you know what? Let's go get some done in the lab. Let's come back here tomorrow morning and we'll take a look at it. I don't want to waste your time. It's going to take easily 10, 15 minutes. We're headed to the lab. Thanks. Done thousands of them. It's really cool. I've been waiting for a long time to be able to do that. And these guys came up and said, hey. Hello, my name is Steve Buchanan. My career has given me the wonderful opportunity to design and engineer some of the most widely used products, tools, and techniques in endodontics. I've trained thousands of dentists to successfully perform, at a very high level, root canal treatment that delivers predictable success. So it is with pride that I introduce the next evolution of dental education laboratories, our training side, and dental engineering laboratories, our product development side. These are now becoming the new brand dedicated to inspiring dental excellence, DE Labs. These missions are very coherent, as my entire objective in design and development of advanced instruments is that they can be applied with simple techniques to perform complex procedures. While human anatomy is constant, the technology we use to address that anatomy is constantly changing. Because of this ongoing challenge of dental practice, DE Labs is committed to creating new, more effective methods of hands-on training. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about our high-tech training facility and live demonstration theater in Santa Barbara. I'm talking about our internet broadcasts of my live patient demos when literally thousands of dentists watch me perform root canal procedures on a real patient in real time. I'm talking about inventing 3D printed procedural training replicas of authentic human anatomy so dentists can learn hand skills iteratively and definitively without involving humans or human parts. True Tooth and True Jaw 3D printed replicas from real human anatomy provide a realistic hands-on experience and control the learning objectives to allow the clinician to achieve mastery of a specific challenge with routine practice. And as inviting as the financial savings may be, remote hands-on training has the undeniable advantage of training in your office with your assistant. The other side of this new DE Labs brand is disruptive product development, and I'm very proud of what our crew has recently come up with, our new legacy collection of conventional and surgical endodontic hand instruments. The uniquely designed signature handle for these instruments has been crafted to allow an effortless end-to-end flip while providing a dynamic grip. The pluggers are easily identifiable with ISO colored rings. Our product collections are designed and curated with a system-based priority underlying a range of specific tools for specific procedural steps. Each legacy instrument and procedural set was designed with clinicians in mind to remove every tool-related frustration in their experience of treating root canals so clinicians can focus on the anatomy. Welcome to the legacy of dental excellence.